Hey guys, it's Sandro here with a coating comparison video today that looks at the differences between CarPro's three main ceramic coatings, which include CQuartz UK3.0, CQuartz Professional and CQuartz Finest Reserve. In the video, I'll be preparing a test panel which has been fully decontaminated and correcting the paint in preparation for applying these three coatings for a side-by-side comparison. I'll also be looking at and discussing each of these coatings' various characteristics in relation to things like their ease of application, look, water behaviour, durability, cost, and so on. Now, although I'm using a test panel in the video to display some information, I'm also going to derive a lot of the information based on my experience with these three coatings that I've used for many years and coated countless cars with. So to start with, I'm going to look at some of the more basic or obvious differences between these three coatings. Firstly, CQuartz UK is a consumer-based ceramic or glass coating, which basically means that anyone can buy and apply it. It's also the cheapest of the three and tends to come in kit form, including your applicators, a large suede cloth, reload, which is a top coat for the coating, a couple of CQuartz stickers, and an information pamphlet. It tends to be mostly available as a 30ml bottle kit, but you can also get it, depending on where you live, in 10, 50 and 100ml bottles. CQuartz UK has been around for many years, though the newer 3.0 version is about a year old, has a claimed durability of 18 months and an easy user experience. The second coating is CQuartz Professional. This is actually CarPro's newest addition to their coating lineup, which was introduced about 2 years ago. Professional basically sits in between CQuartz UK and CQuartz Finest, being a professional detailer only available coating that requires you are certified by CarPro before you're allowed to buy or have access to it. The cost of this coating will vary depending on where you live, but in general it tends to be about twice the price of CQuartz UK, has a minimum durability claim of 2 years, and comes in a 50ml bottle. It's packaged in quite a modern tin-styled case, which includes everything you get with UK 3.0, minus reload, but adds a warranty card and sticker. Lastly is CQuartz Finest Reserve. This is CarPro's flagship coating that, as you can see, comes in quite a nice and elaborate package that's very well presented. It adds a ventilation mask, a quality microfiber cloth, a nice information booklet, and also comes in a 50ml bottle. Just like CQuartz Professional, Finest is also a certified professional only coating that has a durability claim of 3 years plus. However, unlike Professional, which is generally available to most professional detailers who undertake an assessment course, Finest is a very exclusive coating reserved for detailers who meet CarPro's highest standards. And Finest Reserve, unlike UK and Professional, requires that it is cured with infrared lights to achieve its hardness and durability. It's also quite an expensive coating, generally costing about 3 times as much as UK, and due to the need for infrared curing, it's a more specialised and time-consuming coating to apply. Some additional information based on my experience and knowledge with these three coatings is that all three of them truly excel and meet or surpass their durability claims only when you apply at least 2 layers if not 3. And using a top coat sealant such as CarPro Reload every 3 to 6 months will greatly help extend the life of all CQuartz coatings. I'm only applying a single layer in this video for testing purposes, but if you'd like to see how 2 layers compare, or you'd like some more information on applying CQuartz UK or coatings in general, I have plenty of videos on my channel that go through and display that, and should also answer most questions you have from an application perspective. Another important point I wanted to add for professional detailers is that when you use CQuartz UK, or really any consumer-based coding, you can really do what you like and adhere to the standard of work that you choose. However, when you use CQuartz Professional, or even more so Finest Reserve, you are representing the brand whether you like it or not, and as such there are rules if you wish to continue using these professional grade codings. In essence, you're responsible to working to a certain standard and producing a certain level of quality service that directly affects CarPro and their reputation. So if you don't do this, or you fall short in your customer satisfaction, it will catch up to you, and ultimately you will be removed from the professional or finest certification programs. So then what does this mean for the consumers? It means that you can have the confidence that a detailer who can offer you CQuartz Professional, and even to a greater extent CQuartz Finest, has been assessed and does need to follow high standards and produce a certain quality of work. And lastly on this point, I can tell you that 99 out of every 100 detailers that have applied to use CQuartz Finest have been refused. So unlike many other coding companies that'll basically sell you their professional grade codings by just providing them with your business details, CarPro is very different and not in it to make a quick sale, but rather build a reputation for the future, which they certainly are in my opinion. So let's compare these codings' applications and user experience. Firstly, I can tell you that these codings are always evolving, as they should be. So the first CQuartz Finest coding I used many years ago isn't the exact same formulation that I'm using today, nor is Professional compared to a year or two ago, and obviously UK, which is now 3.0. As such, their user experience as well as their characteristics have also changed, and I'm certain they will continue to do so in such a competitive market as nano codings. But right now, based on these particular formulations, I would say that UK 3.0 is still the easiest of the three to use. It's really an instantly flashing coding, so you don't need any particular experience in calculating flash or wipe off times. Whereas, although this particular version of CQuartz Professional seems to flash very quickly, it still does need a minute or so to get there in most average weather conditions. Finest Reserve would actually be the slowest flashing coding of the three here, usually needing 3 to 5 minutes or so. In relation to ease of wipe off, UK 3.0 does tend to be easier to use in warmer climates, while it tends to be a little more grippy to wipe off in colder weather. Overall, I'd still say it's easier to wipe or level down compared to CQuartz Professional, though not quite as smooth as Finest Reserve, which does tend to be the easiest of the three to apply in that respect. So as a whole, I would say that there is a noticeable difference in the user experience with each of these codings. And for someone who applies them frequently, those more subtle difference will become quite evident, and sometimes even a determining factor in which coding they prefer to use or sell to their potential clients. As I mentioned earlier, CQuartz Finest Reserve must be infrared cured to allow its particular carrier solvents to dissipate in order for the coating to reach its hardness and cured state. This does, however, add an extra step and extra time to the process, and also requires quite expensive shortwave infrared lamps. Now, although the other two coatings don't require to be infrared cured, you can certainly still use infrared lights to speed up their curing if you wish. So with cost, packaging, restrictions, user experience and technique touched on, I want to now talk a little about the coating's look or aesthetics. I actually purposely used black paint and left some minor haze and a few slightly deeper swirls on this test panel, as it's a great way to test a coating's look and minor filling abilities, which obviously tends to be more prominent and obvious on black paint. But you'll also see the panel outdoors coming up in a bit, which should also help. Now hopefully you can see that all three coatings have done a great job at amplifying the finish on the paint to a pretty impressive level. But to do with providing the best finish in relation to richness, saturation, and even addressing minor haze, CQuartz UK 3.0 was clearly the winner here. Another thing that is quite important to note is that although UK 3.0 has done a better job at finishing with increased gloss and saturation, you may not be able to pick it up in the footage, but both CQuartz Professional and Finest have done a much better job at filling in some of the more obvious swirls in the paint. This really comes down to the increased thickness that you can expect to get from both Professional and Finest over CQuartz UK or really most consumer-based coatings. Some of this may be a surprise to some of you, but I know many detailers, with myself included, that have used CQuartz UK on top of CQuartz Professional or Finest for many years now for those very reasons. Professional and Finest will ultimately last longer and lay down thicker, though UK has always been a fantastic looking coating that works so well as a top layer to create the ultimate protection and look. Another test that I conducted here was to purposely create some water spots on the panel to see which coating would show the best or worst water spot behaviour. This was actually quite a telling test that really made CQuartz Professional shine. While UK 3.0 and Finest Reserved showed equal levels of water spot mineral deposits, Professional had almost no water spots at all, showing a surprisingly high resistance in that respect. Next was the all-important hydrophobic test and water bead contact angle. As I mentioned earlier, all three of these coatings do tend to display increased levels of both hydrophobic and hydrophilic water behaviour when they are applied in multiple layers. Though at the same time, even a single layer, which is displayed here, also works quite well. You'll hopefully see that there really isn't a great deal of difference to be found in relation to water contact angle, which again is quite impressive by all three coatings and so mesmerising to watch. Next is water sheeting or hydrophilic water behaviour. Once again, it really isn't a night and day difference between each of these coatings. But if I did have to pick a winner, I would have to say that Finest Reserve seemed to sheet the water a touch quicker, and from my previous experience with the coating, it does perhaps tend to have slightly better self-cleaning properties. On a final note, I just want to make clear that this was just one particular test on one panel amongst dozens of tests that I do on a regular basis. No one test should ever dictate absolute truth or decisive conclusions, as there's always so many variable factors to consider. But as a whole, based on many tests over many years, as well as many applications on actual cars, it's fairly clear to me that CQuartz coatings are continuously evolving and improving, with a real focus on being around for the long run and creating class-leading coatings that truly are fantastic. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, please like, comment and subscribe to this channel to show your support for these videos, and I'll see you guys soon.